Again, we're continuing to learn the Sefer Mareh Yaakov by Dr. Jacob Seaman, and what we've tried to do at the beginning of each shiur is to introduce something from the Parshat that we've read this week, and see how we might extrapolate the way that it might have been interpreted should the Sefer have continued on. This week in Chutz La'aretz we read Kedoshim, in Eretz Yisrael we read Emor. We'll catch up soon, don't worry. And one of the recurring phrases that we see in this week's Parsha is V'yareta me'alokecha Hashem. After we have a law introduced, we see that it's given this reason that you should have proper fear of God because of who God is. So the phrase is always repeated with the same notes, with a mercha, tipcha, mercha saf pasuk. Mercha, we'll remember, is something that leads into the next word, and tipcha is something that closes the thought that the first one had. The mercha is always open to the things that came before it, but isn't strongly referential to them, but it includes them. So we see this phrase coming after a variety of different halachot. So we realize that it's something that is going to apply to the halacha that was just presented before it. But what it's most strongly leading into is me'alokecha, from God. Normally, when we have a vav at the beginning of a verb, it changes the tense of the verb. So this is called the vav ha'ipuch. This is the vav that turns the context of the verb around. So if you have a verb that's in the past tense, it makes it into a future tense, and if you have a verb that's future tense, it makes it into a past tense. But there is a grammatical or a liturgical thing with the way that the vav ha'ipuch is said. In order to identify it, it actually changes the way that we accent syllables in a word. So if you want it to be this vav that changes the tense, normally you would say v'areta. The accent would be on the second last syllable. But if it's going to be this vav ha'ipuch, then you have to actually change the accent. It becomes v'areta. That is the way that it's properly pronounced if the vav is going to do what it's supposed to do. However, every time we have this phrase v'yareta me'alokecha Hashem, we actually negate this vav ha'ipuch because the word me'alokecha from God has a makah, has an accented syllable on the mem, on that very first syllable. So we have another rule called nasog achor, where if you have a very short word, or if you have a very strongly accented first syllable in the word, it cancels out where the accent on the previous word should be, and it's pushed backwards. Nasog achor, it's pushed backwards. So the reta with the mercha under the resh would normally have the areta would normally have the mercha under the tav. But because of the makaf, because of the accented syllable on the mem, this one gets pushed backwards and goes onto the resh, not onto the tav. So what does that imply? That implies that we have not only the future tense that the vav ha'ipuch would do. The areta is a past tense. The vav ha'ipuch will turn it into a future tense. This is something that you're going to do into the future. But we've also got it pushed back so the vav ha'ipuch is canceled. This is something that you did in the past as well. You're going to have elements of both being fearful of God when you do things in the future because of the implications of this, but you're also saying that this is something that you did in the past. You also were this way before. So this nasog achor is telling us that we have the idea of both past and future here. And Rashi comments on v'yareta me'alokecha that lefi shadavar hazeh eino masur labriot, when you get to some of these laws, these are things that people can't tell from your behavior if you're acting appropriately or not. There might be times when it is appropriate to do the thing that you're told not to do. And the only way that you're going to know if you're doing the correct thing or the incorrect thing is by gleaning your intentions. It's by gleaning what you were thinking at the time when you acted. Did you act that way out of properly warning somebody, or did you act that way out of prejudice or bias, or not taking the others into consideration? And the only one who can know whether you're doing that or not is Mareh Yaakov, from God. So the Yira is something that is going to Mercha lead into Mareh Yaakov. The Yira has to come from God's understanding of your intentions for that act, and that's why we have a Mercha and a Tikcha. But by the way, we also have this Nasog Achora that tells us that this is not only something that you're going to do in the future, but this is something that you're getting the respect for of having done this in the past. So the Aretza Melakacha and the Hashem. Hopefully that is true to the way the good doctor would have interpreted this.